Shout out to Big Girl Georgie and Carolyn Young. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for regular uploads and your chance to be included in shout outs for future videos. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm really excited today to be having a chat with Kenny from Royal Appleberry. Hi Kenny, how you going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks. Well, I just wanted to say up front, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of the Soap Makers Lounge.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. Yeah, so the idea behind the Soap Makers Lounge, initially I wanted to keep it like within Australia because, as you know, Australia's pretty small and our soap making community is really, really small here. But viewers of mine were saying, oh, you should interview, soap makers around the world because it doesn't matter, even if they're not in Australia, it will still help us, the general of, starting a soap business and kind of, starting a hobby and then, turning it into a business. Doesn't matter where you are located in the world, it's going to be the same sort of process and the challenges you face at the start. So it's just a way of, soap makers coming together and just having a chat about how they got started.
It's amazing. I'm very happy that you started something like this because I didn't see anything like this. And it's a good way to bring everybody together and kind of get the feel of the maker because most times we're behind the screen and you don't really get to know us. So it's a good way to introduce us.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And I found also, like, I don't know about the States, but I know in Australia, like some of the forums that are here, they're not very nice. Like some people can be a little aggressive and confrontational. And do you find that as well? Like, is it the same in the States?
Absolutely. Yeah. I used to do like a lot of groups and things like that. And I backed out really quickly because I don't like conflict. And, some people I just find that some people just go there just to be not nice. And I don't know if they're just having a bad day and want to take it out on somebody. And I can't deal with all the negativity. So I tend to stay out of groups and chats and stuff like that.
Okay. So it seems to be like the standard across the board then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, right. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? That's a shame.
It is because it's such a lovely craft.
It is.
And I really don't understand how you can put something ugly into something so great, We all come together because either we have information to share or we have questions and we're looking for answers. And I don't really see there being any room to be negative, but some people, they find a way to be, and that's just the way the world works, unfortunately.
I know, exactly. It's sad. And that's actually one of the big reasons. There's many reasons, but the top of the list was, like, for the Soap Makers Lounge and like just my YouTube channel in general, was to just provide a safe space for people, and people can ask questions and not feel like, I can't ask this or I can't ask that. And also, like, just like you and I coming together, I'm sure all the stuff we'll talk about today would help other people.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I'd like to start off and just ask, like, what inspired the name Royal Appleberry?
Well, when I decided I wanted to start a business, it was a terrible name. It was Royal Apple Sweet Body Treats. And I introduced this to my family and everybody's like, what? I like it. And honestly, I really didn't like it. It was just there. It just kind of popped in my head and just stuck there. And I told my daughter, I said, well, people probably just call it Sweet Body Treats eventually.
Right.
But then in a group, oddly enough, a young lady popped up and she named her business Sweet Body Treats. And I said, it's fine because I'm going to change my name anyway. And then I don't know. I went to sleep and I woke up and it was just Royal Appleberry and it stuck. Okay. And for a minute, my family didn't like it. And I was just like, well, too bad because it's Royal Appleberry. It just kind of stayed. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, the name does suit you, and the name actually does suit you the way your soaps come across, the way they pop, the colours.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's a really good name. So I think you made a really good choice with that.
It just felt right.
Yeah, it feels right. Mm-hmm. And whereabouts are you located exactly?
I'm in Sterling Heights, Michigan. It's about 30 minutes from Detroit, if you know anything about Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, right. Well, unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with that area because of the geological difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for viewers to know, like whereabouts you're located, and are you like purely online, or do you have a store? Or
I'm purely online right now. I do like city festivals
okay,
and craft fairs. I do those a couple times a year. Just because I love the fact that I can be worldwide, but it's just something special to me
yeah,
about when the local community comes and you can put your product in their hands. And instead of going to the big box stores or the grocery stores to get their soap, they come to me. So
yeah, I see
that's why
what
I
you
like to
mean.
get out
Yeah,
there and get to see them and communicate with them. It's nice.
yeah, that's great. And do you do markets at all, or you don't do markets?
I haven't done a market yet because our markets are just on weird days. They're on Wednesdays because I
Oh,
work a day job too. So,
okay.
it's kind of hard for me. I work 10 hours a day and I don't
Oh,
want to get off of work and go right to a market. So, haven't had a chance to do those yet.
yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Wow. So you obviously, gee, that would be a lot, like to juggle. So you have a full-time job with Royal Appleberry?
Yes.
Wow.
We're Mary and I'm an engineer as well. So,
Oh,
um,
wow.
my days start pretty early. I like very early, but
Right, right.
um, that's work. But
Yeah.
real Appleberry, that's where the fun begins. That's what makes me happy, That's my de-stress. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I always refer to, well, I have a statement that always pops in my head, like soap is life, right?
hmm
And
It is.
soap is a life skill.
It is. It
Yes.
absolutely is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's something about it for me. It makes me happy. It
Yeah.
just it smells. Knowing that I'm creating something that's not only pretty but is good for your skin as well.
Hmm.
And I know the ingredients that I'm putting into it, and it's a happy place for me to be,
Yeah.
because you get to create something lovely, and
Yeah.
I'm all about pretty things.
Yeah. And of course, uniqueness as well. It's your kind of way to put your personality into your product.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I kind of feel like you can tell my personality through my soaps.
Well, it's a very lovely, so
Thank
very,
you.
very well done.
Thank you so much.
And did you experience the benefits like of when you first started making soaps to your skin? Like when you started to use it, did you immediately realize the skin benefits from using like commercial soaps in the past, and then when you started making your own, was that a
Absolutely.
realization for you as well? Like you, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I can tell you the very first handmade soap I used wasn't my own. I happened to go through a farmer's market, and
mhm,
it was so funny because the young lady was standing there and she just had this handmade soap, just hadn't even clicked in my mind at this point. But she had this little bowl and she said, "You want one?" And I said, "Sure, what is it?" And she said, "Soap." And I smelled it and it just smelled really pretty. And I said,
yeah,
what is it? What's the smell? She says, "I don't know." And I was like, "Oh." So
okay,
I just took it with me and I put it on my sink counter. And I have been using commercial soap, and I've never really liked commercial soap because body washes have always felt very difficult to wash off. I just felt like I was rinsing forever to get that off.
yeah, yeah,
And then commercial, I guess you can call it soap, I just felt very dry. My skin
yeah,
always felt very dry and tight, like my back skin was just going to crack.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I washed my hands with her soap. It had been sitting there for a week, and I picked it up and I washed my hands with it, and immediately it just felt different. And I was like, "This is fantastic!" And
yeah.
it just kind of like kicked me into gear of looking into making things myself. And when I made my first soap, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was hooked. It was so ugly, but I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, oh, don't you worry. My first batch was, I mentioned it previously, but it was 70% sweet almond oil and 30% olive oil.
I'm sure that was a nice, very nice, soft, moisturizing soap.
Yes, it was. It was very nice. Of course, it melted away.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's because I grew up with severe eczema.
My
So
daughter.
yeah, using just that plain soap, even though it was so soft and melted away, it actually my eczema started to clear up. And within 4 to 6 weeks of actually using my own soap, I was eczema free. My skin was
Yeah.
clear for the first time. I've used other natural brands and stuff, and they did work for a while. And then I don't know what it is, but they just like commercial brands, even though they're kind of more on the natural side. After a while, they kind of started to come back, started to get blotches again. But whether using my own handmade soaps or other people's handmade soaps, I just found it didn't come back. It just, yeah, it's just amazing benefits, like skin benefits.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah. And I think, did you find like when starting your business as well, or you could have been one of the lucky ones that, did you find you had to kind of educate people the difference between commercial and handmade? Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Because the festivals that I do, they tend to have between 30 to 70,000 people that come through because it's a 3-day festival. And I constantly get, oh, I can only use, I'm just like,
oh wow. Right.
it's the people that walk by your booth and give you this mean look.
Yeah.
And I just say, I always speak to people because it's free. It doesn't hurt to say hello to someone,
Yeah.
whether you stop or not. And I'll say hello to, I can only use and just, storm off. And I'm just like, so the last festival I did, I had a young lady come up to me and she's looking at all of my things.
Yeah.
And I just said hello to her and she goes, I can only use something. I said, oh, I said, well, good for you. I said, but did you know she doesn't even make her own products? And she goes, oh, well, I mean, I think it's amazing. I said, maybe it is. I said, but just let me tell you something.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that you use, especially when you buy in the store, I said, they're not even real soap. I said, you might as well just wash your clothing or your car with it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I said, so, just pay attention to the ingredients and what you're putting on your skin. If you pick up a bar of, commercial soap, you'll see half of these ingredients you can't even pronounce versus what's here. I said, so I'm not asking you to buy anything. I just want to educate you on that. And when you tell people, I always say this, and I hope and watch this video want to see when you were younger and it was called it was called soap, it was called a beauty bar, a moisturizing bar. It just kept changing because they knew they couldn't call it soap anymore because it wasn't. So I always tell people that, if you don't believe me, just look at a commercial, go on YouTube and watch an old soap commercial and see how many of these companies still call it soap because it's no longer soap.
Mm-hmm.
So when I tell people that, they're just really shocked. They're just like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that."
Yeah, that's right. They don't, and that's the same here too. I'm sure it's the same everywhere with soap. I just found like, why would I pay $7 or $8 for your soap when I can go to the supermarket and get one for $2? And it's like, well, just try one and then make the judgment for yourself. And more often than not, they'll try one and they'll be like, oh, wow, I never knew soap can leave your skin so soft and moisturized and at the same time clean you. So it's like all these things in one. I'm like, yes, because real handmade soap's made with oils, skin-loving oils, olive oils, and coconut oils, your shea butters, all these beautiful ingredients that after you use it on your skin, it's like you fed your skin food.
It is skin food. It really is skin food.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're not stripping away, you're adding to.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. Wow. So what inspired you to start making soap? What was the first thing? I think you mentioned before, like you tried a soap, but before trying like a handmade soap, did you have any?
I did. I did. It was actually
okay, right.
I had gone into their store. They were fairly new here, I believe. And I had gone into one of their stores and it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm in heaven. It was just so all the colors, because you may not look at me and tell I'm a colorful person, but my personality, I'm a colorful person. So all the colors, all the smells, and I just thought it was a beautiful place. And at the time, I was very broke. So one or two items, I was like, well, that's half my week's check,
Oh, wow.
I knew I couldn't keep purchasing from them.
Yeah.
And at the time it was bath bombs. So I got very curious about how to make bath bombs, and I decided I was going to make my own. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I decided to make it on my back porch, and it was summer and it was very humid, and I put everything together and it just exploded and it wouldn't stop growing, and it just kept growing and growing. Then I had this idea to stick it in the freezer. And when I looked in the freezer, it was like triple the height that it was. And this is a bath bomb, but it
Yeah.
froze.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's not really for me. But I don't give up. So I tried again, and I kind of mastered the bath bombs, and I got bored and decided melt and pour. I wanted to try melt and pour because
Yeah.
I was deathly afraid of lye.
Yeah.
I was very afraid of lye.
Yeah.
So I did melt and pour, and I would do the whipped melt and pour and pipe it as cupcakes on top of the bath bombs. And I got bored with that too. So once I discovered handmade soap, I just went to YouTube, and Clyde Yoshida and Holly from Missouri River and
Right.
Katie from Realty Soap. I was just like, and Celine from I Am Handmade. Those were the major ones that I stalked their channels religiously. I watched everything that they did, and I was just like, oh, I got to learn to do this.
Yeah.
And I was just so terrified. But I said, you know what? If they can do it, you can do it.
That's right.
All you have to do is just have a healthy respect for lye. As long as you understand that it can hurt you,
Yeah. Yeah.
then you'll be okay. So I did it. And my very first soap after that, it was history, man. I can't stop now.
I know. It's like, oh, geez, I just couldn't imagine my day, or my week without making soap. It's just so integral part of my life now. That's it. Like, once you start, it's
very addicting. People they don't understand how addicting soap making is, whether it be a plain white soap with no fragrance. As long as you are making, it's just because it's the one thing that is always going to be used. It's not something that's ever going to not be used. So that's why you keep making it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I sit at work and I'm daydreaming about soap making. I can't wait to get home so I can get into my soap making. I love it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm sure, like, it's the same for you as well. Sometimes I'll be like laying in bed at night and I'll be like dozing off, and I'll think of a recipe or think of an idea. I'm like, oh, I'll try that tomorrow. And you fall asleep, and as soon as you get up, it's like, oh, I'm going to go try that. Like, do you have those moments?
Always. When I'm at work, mostly when I'm at work, I shouldn't be thinking about anything but work, but I'm always like, I'm always thinking of all these new things and new fun stuff I want to try with soap making. And when I'm trying to sleep, it's been times where I've just got up out of bed. I was like, I'm not sleeping, so let's just head downstairs to the studio. So it's in me. It's my blood.
Yes.
I bleed soap.
So I call it sometimes the midnight soap making. If you can't sleep, you just make something.
You do. And you know what? When you do it, you fall asleep after that.
That's right. It's true. Yes, it is. It's like, oh, that satisfied, the soap bug, as I call it, the soap bug, or the soap I shouldn't say illness, but I was going to say soap disease because it's so infectious and it just keeps growing.
It really is. It surely is.
And when you first made your first real cold process soap, how would you describe that compared to what you make now, like the differences?
Well, back then, I always wanted to create my own recipe, so I kind of knew what I wanted to go into it. So, like, honestly, my recipe have not changed very much since then.
Yeah.
I've added some things and I've taken away some things, but like the base of it is still the same. Now, the way it looked, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Back then, I thought it was the best looking soap I had ever seen in my life. Yeah. But in reality, I look back now, I'm like, girl, what were you thinking? It was just so terrible. And I was so enamored by the first soap that I made. But it's good I actually just posted it on Instagram, I think a couple of weeks ago, my very first soap. And to look from where you came to now, it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
But I just always knew that I wanted to create the soap that I wanted to use,
Yeah.
because it was a lot of people who were offering recipes, and that was great. But I was just like, you know what? I want a soap that's moisturizing. I want a soap that's conditioning. And I'm big on bubbles. I love a bubbly soap. So it was Nature's Garden had this soap oil property chart, and it's like 30 pages thick. And I printed it out, and I still use it to this
Right.
day.
Yeah.
And it tells you all of the values of every oil and butter that you can use and what kind of soap you're going to get. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I created, and I love it. I really, really do. Now I found like then I was just like, well, you obviously have to use the most expensive oils you can get your hands on, right? So I'm using meadow foam and all these oils no
Oh,
one's ever heard of. And I was
yeah.
just like, you're going to go broke before your business even gets
That's
off
right.
the ground.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when I took all of that stuff out, guess what? It was still a really, really good soap.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
that's something I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in my case, like one of my most popular bars is the 2 oil recipe, just 70% olive and 30% coconut.
There you go.
It's just
That's all you need.
that's it. Like, of
Yeah.
course, I've got more luxury bars with shea butter and, mango butter and cocoa butter and stuff. But the staple that I really like to play around with is just those 2 oils. It's
Yep.
just a really well balanced bar. And I tell like people always ask, they've got a small business or they just started and they're like, oh, I want to add, shea butter, but I don't want to add too much because of the cost or because depending on where you're from, it could be really expensive. And I said, you only need to add 5%. Like,
That's it.
it can just turn your bar from, like, still a great bar, but it just, as you know, like with shea butter, just that 5%, it just adds this extra skin feel to it, amazing moisturizing properties.
Huh?
Yeah. And you don't have to do a whole lot
You
to
don't.
reap the
Don't.
benefits of your handmade soap. Yeah. Recipe. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. You really don't. That's
Yeah.
why I tell people. I was asked one time here in Michigan, because we really don't have like suppliers in Michigan where you can go and buy, ingredients and
Yeah.
fragrances and things. Like we have one that I know of, and it's a little over an hour away from me.
Right.
And I think that's where I bought all my first fragrance oils and things when I first started. And somehow later on in life, maybe 5 years later, she found out about me, I guess through YouTube, I don't know, but she contacted me and asked me if I wanted to come to her store and teach a class. And I
Okay.
said, sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty
Great.
cool. I said, hey, this is where I started. You don't even know that. But I told everyone, I said, just stick to basics. I always tell people, don't go out and spend all this money and buy all these different oils. Go to your local grocery stores and get coconut oil and get olive oil and sunflower oil. You can go and find we have African markets and stores around all over Michigan. Go get a little bitty pound thing of shea butter. That's all you need. You
Yeah.
don't have to go nuts.
Yeah.
And that will make you a gorgeous, gorgeous soap. It really
Yes.
will.
Absolutely. Especially with shea butter. It's one of my favorite imports. Anything with shea just speaks for
It's
itself when you use it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is lovely. Well, before I started even thinking about soap making bath bombs, I used to make whipped shea butter. This was
Oh, wow.
probably like 9 years ago, probably longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would just make it for myself, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just a beautiful product. Yeah.
hmm
And what was the point? I mean, not the point. Obviously, you're a soap maker. What was the point in time? What I meant to say was when you started to make your own products for yourself and like to use, and you really loved it, that you really wanted to start selling it and starting to kind of get it out there.
I kind of knew from day one my intentions on making it was to sell it.
Okay.
Just because I call the OGs in soap making, which are the Clydes and Hollies and Katies, they had businesses. And even though, I have a career, I know for a fact that I don't want to work for someone else for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So that was my intentions on starting making soap was to sell it. But I just felt like I'm a researcher. I research everything till it's just confetti. There's nothing left, just bits and dust. I'm done researching. So
Yeah.
I just research everything I can possibly find before I would even attempt to make my very first soap.
Mhm.
I did a year of research before I made my first soap. And then after that, I wouldn't sell my soap to anyone until I made a year's worth. And I knew that I'm not rash. I'm
Yeah.
not burned. I
Yes.
can make a
Right.
good product
Yeah.
and know that I feel good about giving it to the public and know that it's going to be beneficial and I'm not going to like have somebody sue me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that. So I say about a year in of me making soap, I decided, okay, now it's time to open my store.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot got to do with, I think, confidence as well. Like, because you just aren't sure because you think to yourself, oh, and I went through this phase at the beginning too. Oh, it might be okay for my skin, but I don't know. I'm still unsure. Like if I start selling it, someone else might get a reaction, or it might cause some issues for me. Like,
It's always scary. You just
yeah,
never know. And
yeah,
since I've been selling my soap, I've had one encounter where a person said that my soap did something to them. And I kind of knew
right,
just talking to this person because they communicate with me for a very long time
yeah,
before they purchased. And then said that my soap gave them a rash. And,
mhm,
I kept asking, did you read the ingredients? Because I always tell people, please read the ingredients before you purchase anything from a website, just to
yes,
be sure you're not
yeah,
allergic to anything. And
yeah,
she refused to answer the question. So I just
okay,
kept asking her. But I just found it really odd that she said, well, your soap broke me out. I said, can you send me a picture? And
yeah,
so she sent me a picture. She did have a rash,
yeah,
but she says, can you send me a soap that will clear up this rash?
okay, right,
So
right.
I'm like, if my soap broke you, why would you want to use more of my soap?
Another one.
I said,
That's so true.
okay.
Yeah, that's so
But
true.
that's
Common
always
sense.
the fear. It
Yeah,
is always
yeah,
the fear. But if you know that you're putting a good product out there and you let people know, hey, I do use nut-based products and things like that, just
yeah,
be very careful, be aware of what your read the ingredients. I always tell people,
yeah,
please read the ingredients before you purchase anything.
yeah,
And you've made a good product. You're putting a good product out there.
yeah.
I will never give a person anything that I won't use on myself.
That's right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. Very good philosophy. Very good philosophy. Because if you don't believe what you're making, others won't believe in what you're making.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it does shine through. Like, I'm really, really huge believer of energy, and I feel if you really love and believe in what you're doing, when people pick up your products, they'll feel it. They'll feel the
They do.
energy you've put into your product. Yeah.
Yep, they
Yeah.
do. They really
Yeah.
do.
Absolutely.
That's
They
fine.
do.
I,
Yeah.
I love that you say that because it's
Yeah.
been plenty of times where I've been at a festival and people they'll pick up my soap and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can tell you made this,"
Yeah. Yeah.
based
Exactly.
on
Yeah.
personality, and they're just like, "Well, this soap just makes me happy,"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to make people happy. You can't
Yeah.
make everybody happy, but
Yeah.
at least try.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Can't make everyone happy. That's very true. So, how long have you been making and selling soaps now?
I've been making soap for 9 years, but I've been
Oh,
selling for 8 years.
okay. Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good amount of time. Wow.
yeah.
And do you feel like even though it's been almost a decade for you, do you feel like the learning experience is continuous? There's just always new things to learn, always.
You will never, ever, ever stop learning when it
Yeah,
comes to soap making.
yeah,
There's always something to learn. I always tell people, because I'm on YouTube, so a lot of people ask me a lot of questions. And I always tell, I'm no soap guru. I know I did a skit saying I was a soap guru. It was a joke for
right.
anybody that watched it.
Okay.
But,
Right, yeah.
I'm no guru. I don't think there is a soap guru because it's always evolving. There's always room to make things better. You have nature. God has given us nature to use. So you can, I cannot know that maybe there's something out there that you found that you feel is like fantastic in soap, and you can let us know about it. And then we put it in our soap, and it's just amazing. So it's just always an opportunity to learn. Even if you think you know everything that you know about the product that you make, there's always room for improvement. That's
That's
just the
right.
way I feel.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it could be just like a psychological thing, but I don't know, but I'll ask you anyway. Um, I just find like every few batches of soap I make, even if it's the same recipe, because like in my range, I like to have 70% of the bars I make, I like to continually make them. I like to be kind of consistent. And
Yeah.
30% I'll play around with different colors and,
Yeah.
scents and whatever, and I'll change them over. But I find that the more I make, I seem to be improving my technique the more and more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you find that it's the same like with you kind of? Yeah, yeah,
Definitely. It could be the same soap that I've made 100 times.
yeah,
And like the first time I make it, I'm just like, okay, that's good, And by the 10th time, I'm just like, oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
But then, like
yeah.
the 30th time, you're like, yeah, I knocked that out the park.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I know, isn't it?
always improve.
Yeah, yeah. I think, I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to put my finger on it, but it's just, like you'll come out with the same thing you've made 100 times, and it's like, wow, I really topped myself with this time, and you're really happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. My number one selling soap is my bee's knees soap, and it's oatmeal milk and honey.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
people just love that soap. And I was just like, really?
Yeah.
But I get it. And
Yeah.
I've made the soap so many times I can really just make it with my eyes closed. I don't, but I could. But it's been seriously like 2 times when I made. I was like, girl, what were you thinking? It was so ugly. I don't know. It still like it felt the same, but it was just really ugly, the design,
Yeah.
And then other times I make it, I'm just like, oh, you're so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Now I remember. Do you sometimes go into automatic mode when you're making your soap, and like when you finish, it's like, oh gee, I don't. I just kind of because you're just so used to it, and it's like I don't remember if I did everything right. Do you ever go through those
Absolutely.
moments?
I have to like stop, and I'm just like, wait a minute, did I put my lie in there?
Yeah.
Autopilot.
Yeah, autopilot. That's it. Yeah, autopilot.
Yeah, and I stop and just stand there like, because I think last week I hadn't made soap in a couple of weeks, and I always call this soap dumb because I'll not make soap for about a week or two, and then it's just like I forget how to make soap. I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you? And I just have to stop and say, okay, Kenny, get yourself together.
Yeah.
And then you get in that autopilot. You remember, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. And then I'm just like, wait a minute. Did I forget? No, I got it. And by the end, because everything's sitting around me and it's all gone. So I know I used it. But you just get an autopilot because you're used to doing it so many times. It's just, you don't forget.
You don't forget, no. Like so far, it's been good. But you just can't help but realize, just stop for a minute and go, oh my gosh, did I weigh everything right? Like, there's been a couple of times where I'm weighing my soft oils out, and if I double or triple the batch, and I think I've weighed everything, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, did I weigh enough olive oil here? So I had to add all the soft oils up by weight, and then pour it all out to make sure it adds up to the right amount. Yeah.
Yep, I just did that. Oh my gosh, that is so funny that you brought that up. Last week, because I decided to put 3 batches in one and then just use all the soft oils and separate them.
Yeah.
And I'm pouring, and I'm just like, wait a minute, did I forget something? And so I poured it all back, put it on a scale, put an empty bowl, and then reweighed everything. I'm just like, okay, I got it.
That happened to me just the other day. Actually, it happened to me with that recent video I made when I made lavender soaps for my nephews, and I was weighing out the oils, and I had to weigh everything out. And I obviously turned the camera off because I'm like, okay, I want to get this on camera.
But you know what? Better safe than sorry. That's the way I say it. It's better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even when there's been a couple of times, only happened twice so far, that if I double or triple the batch and I completely forget how much lye I've mixed in the water, I have to throw it because I just don't want to take the risk. And
I've done that. I've done that before.
yeah. Because I'm like, gee, did I double? Yeah,
I can never just, okay, oils, we can work and try to figure this one out. Lye, I toss
can't
it,
do
it
it.
becomes
Yeah,
Drano. It becomes
yes,
drain opener because you
yeah,
can't play with that,
that's
because
right,
either you're going to
exactly.
have a lye heavy soap or you're going to have mush. And
That's
I
right.
don't have oils to waste because oils cost a lot of money. So,
That's true. Very true. Especially when you're thinking about quality as well. It does cost you a pretty penny. Yes,
it does.
absolutely. Oh gosh. Um, so what are some of the challenges like you kind of faced when starting to sell your soaps and get your products out there, and when you like in your mind officially gave Royal Appleberry, you started to treat it like a business and you started to get your products out there. What were just the general overall challenges you faced?
The challenges for me, like I said, believe it or not, I'm a ball of energy behind
Yeah,
camera. But when
yeah,
I'm in front of people, I will talk to you, but I'm just not like, like, I am on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
Marketing has always been my biggest struggle throughout my
Yes.
whole business.
Uh,
Even to this date, I do what I know how to do. I am a one woman show, marketing, design, graphics, soap making, all of it I do. And marketing is the most draining part of it for me. Even before I started my business, I didn't have social media. I had no Facebook, no nothing, because I'm not about, putting my life out there for people to see. So
yeah,
I had no need for it. And like a year, no, about 6 months in, I said, girl, you're going to have to get social media,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because social media is the way for you to get your name and your brand out there. If people don't know who you are, they're not going to buy from you.
yeah, yeah,
So that's always been my biggest struggle, marketing. And even when I'm doing well, I always feel like there's something, and I think it's just me, really, but there's always room for improvement. I just
yeah,
always feel like there's something I could be doing better or
yeah,
different. Or,
yeah.
should I hire a marketing firm? That's going to cost a lot of money.
Oh,
It's just
yes.
always that for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One of my weakest points, yeah, obviously marketing and doing regular posts. I'm just not. I struggle with that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not my
You
cup of
know
tea.
what?
Yeah.
That too. Like I was really I did YouTube for 6 years, posted weekly, twice a week.
Oh
And
wow.
it just became a lot, like way
Yeah,
too much,
yeah.
So I took it down to once a week. And I just recently, quote unquote, left YouTube.
See, right,
I haven't filmed in, I think, like 5 months. And people were
okay,
just like, Nikki, where are you?
right, right.
Being on Instagram, I really dislike Facebook. So I don't do Facebook at all. I probably should, but
Mm-hmm.
Facebook has never been fun for me.
Yeah,
So just being on Instagram, being on social media, making sure you post so people know that you're still around.
yeah,
That's hard for me. It
yeah,
really is hard
yeah,
for me.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I struggle with that too. I think I might do one or two posts a month on social media, and
Yeah.
just like to keep people updated. Like if I made something new, or
Yeah.
I'm not too much in people's faces, like with my products and like my business and even YouTube. I just kind of, I'm a really big believer in, again, like I'm going back to the energy part of things. I like things just to kind of happen as they happen and things to grow naturally.
Yeah.
And I find since having that approach, that the people that do follow you, and I'm sure you would be the same because we are very similar in that way, that the people that follow you and want to know how you are and genuinely care about what you're doing, and you have that relationship with your viewers and people that
Yeah.
buy your soaps. Yeah, yeah. It's like more of
You know what?
intimacy. You have more the
It
intimate.
is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's such a good feeling. It
yeah,
really, really is a good feeling because for people who don't do social media, for people who don't do YouTube, it's hard. It's
yeah.
not easy.
Very
A lot of
hard.
people think
Yeah,
it's just so very easy, but it requires a lot of work and planning and thinking and editing. And when you don't want to come home from work or whatever your day consists of, you
mm-hmm.
don't want it.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
want
right.
to sit there and edit for hours. You just want to do whatever you want to do,
Yeah,
you know. But when you have this family of people who genuinely love you, you've never met them a day in your life, but they genuinely love you and they check in on you and make sure you're okay and say,
Yeah.
hey, where are you? Miss you. And it's such a good feeling, you
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
really is a good feeling. And that's kind of my fuel to continue to do social media and things like that. The love that you get from absolute strangers, you
Yeah.
know, I love my community. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that. And the amount of like just encouragement and oh, you know, we love what you do, or you've taught me so much, or just all
Yeah,
these things. Like it's just reassuring
it
that
is.
you're helping someone. And I'm sure it'll be the same for you. I don't know, like for me, because I get sometimes emails from people like in Africa or from India, and they said, oh, you know, since coming to your channel, you've taught me how to make soap, and now I've kind of created a little income for myself.
Isn't it
And do you
nice?
get emails like that?
I do.
Yeah,
I those are the emails because I mean any entrepreneur, any business owner, when you're on social media, a lot of times you post the best parts. So
yes,
everything looks rosy and beautiful and
yeah,
easy, and
yeah,
behind the scenes it's hard. It is
yeah,
hard, you know, and that's just part of it. But when you get those emails from people who say, well, you know, my kid has really bad eczema or I have psoriasis and, you know, I watched one of your videos and I decided to follow what you did and I made it and it cleared up. Or,
right,
you know, I'm able
right.
to start a small business to help take care of my family.
Oh,
It's
that's beautiful.
rewarding. And then you feel like, okay, that's my purpose. That's
Yeah,
why I'm,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I'll ask you this as well. Do you feel that you touch on a really important topic about social media and you're showing the good bits? Do you find that YouTube fills that gap? So you're
Um,
showing people more authenticity in what you're doing and the good and the
Absolutely.
bad? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I've always prided myself on because when I started, you didn't really come across YouTubers, soap makers that showed the ugly parts.
yeah, yeah,
Everything was just so beautiful, you know, and um to me personally, I just thought they never make mistakes. So
yeah,
when I made a mistake, I was like, what did I do wrong? Not
yeah,
realizing that they just edited that part out, you know.
yes,
So I
yeah,
always tell people on my channel, I show you the good, the bad, the ugly. You
yeah.
know, if it seasons, I'm gonna show it to you. And I call myself I'm like the queen of seasoning to some gremlins in soap making, but you know, I just work my way through it and I find it funny because if you can work your way through that, then you can work your way through anything. And at the end of the day, you get so many people say, oh my gosh, I experienced that and I got so frustrated, but you laugh and it just lets
Yeah.
me know it's not that bad. I always tell people at the end of the day, honey, it's just so don't let it
Yeah.
upset you. It's supposed to.
That's true. That's true. And when I like, especially when I work with difficult recipes that trace incredibly fast or they have potential to volcano on you or whatever,
Yep.
other people know, like, oh, this is attempt number 5, like, or I've tried so many times and it's been a
Yep.
disaster. And the reason why now it's coming out nice is because of all those disasters. And you just got
Hmm.
to work within these parameters and it will turn out nice.
It
But
will.
just
It
know
will
it took many attempts.
to
And
get
like, yeah.
never just gonna come out perfect. And sometimes you may get one that do. But
Yeah.
you know what? I always just tell people, don't get frustrated. Because I have a lot of people say, I tossed that batch. I said, you did what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't throw out soap because there's always a fix, my darling. Even if it's lye heavy, wash your car with it.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yes.
you know, it's always a purpose for it, but I don't like to see people waste ingredients, you know. So don't get frustrated. And if you see all these beautiful things being made by like really professional soap makers, just know that they went through trial and error and hiccups and bumps, and we all do. So it's okay to make mistakes, embrace
That's
those
right.
mistakes, learn from those mistakes. It just makes you a better soap maker.
Yeah, exactly. And you can even, I think, wash your clothes with light heavy soap as well. Just you can grate
Mhm.
it and grate into like,
Yeah, I've done it.
yeah,
I've done it. Because
yeah,
let me tell you something, honey. One day I made a lye heavy soap, and I was just like, my word, what am I going to do with the soap? So I just put it in my laundry room, and it's sitting there for a year.
yeah,
And I went to, because I like to wash my own car.
yeah.
But
Okay.
I didn't have any, I think like the car wash solution poured out into the bucket that I had it in.
Yeah,
So I was like, what can I use? So I went and got the light heavy soap. Honey, I had the shiniest car on the block. It did an amazing job on washing my
Wow.
car.
Well, so it doesn't damage the paint at all or anything?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Nope, I
interesting.
just put on some gloves because I didn't know how light heavy it was.
Yeah.
But I washed my rims were sparkly. The paint was it looked good.
Was there like any butters in that soap at all?
It was.
Oh, so
But it
maybe,
had the
yeah,
cure time, so everything was hard as a rock at that point. But
right.
yeah, it did because I think I went out of town, and when you go out of town, you get the bug splatter all over your car, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes hard to get that off of your paint, but it took it right off.
That's funny. Oh gosh. Well, that's something new because actually I thought the other week, I wonder if you can make like a liquid soap for car wash. And I thought,
I'm sure.
maybe not. But now that you mentioned it, maybe you can. Yeah.
I really do think you can. Yeah, because why heavy soap is good for
Okay,
cars.
excellent. Well, not that I would, but maybe I should make a light heavy liquid soap.
Hey, it just you might be onto something.
Maybe. Oh, no, it's like not for personal wash, of course, because you'll burn yourself.
Absolutely. That's why I say I did wear gloves. I was smart enough to know to put on some
Oh,
gloves.
okay, good. Yes, that's right. So anyone for at home, if they wanted to try and wash their car with light heavy soap, you have to wear gloves.
Wear the little gloves too, not the little ones.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. So, were there any other sort of challenges you faced apart from what you just mentioned now, or is anything else?
Well, I think it was just a personal thing for myself. I just felt like, over time, because there's so many creative people, and this is pertaining to YouTube.
Hmm.
That's how I felt then. There's so many creative people, and people just come up with beautiful designs. And, I felt like at one point I had to try to keep up with all these new designs and all these new things because for me, I'm a very artistic person and I don't have time to do all those things. So making soap was my creative outlet and, just creating all of these really cool soaps they look like art. So I
Hmm.
just felt like I had to keep that up in order to stay relevant. But then I just had to do a self check and say,
Yeah,
honey,
yeah,
it's, you know, if you're stressing over the art form of this soap, then it's not fun anymore.
yeah.
You got to keep it fun and know at the end of the day, it is a cleaning product.
That's right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you want to still give the best product that you can. So sometimes you just got to get out of your own way and
Hmm.
keep it simple.
Yeah.
And once I did that, it was just, it was great for me. But yeah, marketing has always been my demon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's tough. Hmm.
Very true. Very true. Right. So, my next question would be, what advice would you have for people that are wanting to start a soap business, whether in the States where you're located or just globally? What general advice would you have to offer your wisdom of 8 years of selling your products?
I would say, and I know this sounds really harsh, but I always say it, when you make something, you love it. You
Yeah.
genuinely do love it. But when you present it to the world, everybody's not going to love it as much as you do, but don't take that to heart.
No, right.
It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what it looks like.
Hmm.
It has to do with they don't know who you are.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to get your brand out there. That's just like, Christian Dior. Before Christian Dior was no one to
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so handmade soap, it can be expensive and you want to price its worth.
Hmm.
And I've had quite a few people who started out, brand new soap makers making amazing soaps.
Hmm.
And a year later, nobody's buying my soaps. What's wrong? That's
Hmm.
nothing's wrong. They just don't know
Yeah.
who you are.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
for a full year, I had my website up and running, and all I had coming through my website was tumbleweeds. not a customer in
Yeah.
sight,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just because no one knew me. And once I realized that I had to put my brand out there and start letting people know what a fantastic thing that I had going on and I have to offer you. And once they start getting to know me and seeing my products, and then you give a sample here and a
Yeah.
person buys there and word of mouth, and then people start to know you. So don't get frustrated because people aren't breaking down your door on the
Yeah.
first day of sales.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
going to get better. Just
Yeah.
stick with it. Stick with it. It will definitely get better.
Yes, absolutely. And I find good old fashioned, like you just said, word of mouth, I think it's just the best, most effective marketing
It,
strategy. Yeah.
it really is. It really is. Because I can tell you all day long that I make a fabulous product, but of course I think it's fabulous. I made it.
Yeah.
But when a customer tells 5 other people, this is amazing soap, and then they try it and they tell 5 other people,
Yes.
and it just keeps going,
Yeah.
So, word of
And
mouth is best.
And you mentioned like samples too, like often, whether it's friends of mine who buy from me or family, like extended family members or just customers, doesn't matter who, I find when I always give offcuts and samples, and sometimes if like their order's big enough, I'll give them a full size bar. I'm like, try this one, so I'm really generous with my orders.
Yeah.
And
Because
more often than not, it comes back to you and go, oh, that sample you gave, and I gave it to a friend, and oh, wow, she loves it, or he loves it. And, it's just, it's just so effective.
it really is. Because it's one year, and I don't, what, I still do it, but it has changed things around a lot. So you got to be careful of how you do things. But one year, I used to put 3 little slivers. I mean, they were very small, but they were 3 little slivers. I put them in a little baggie, and I would staple my business card to it, and I put it in a big bowl. So it was probably like 50 or 60 of these little packets. And for people that just walk by my booth, I said, take one. That way you take it home with you.
Yeah.
And then you use it, and then now you can contact me because now you have my card. So
that's right.
Samples really do help your business.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I've had customers who bought sugar scrubs and body oils and never bought a handmade soap from me. And I send them a sample, and they're just like, that soap was amazing. I need to get that bar, So, samples play a big role in your business.
Yeah,
if you haven't, get it.
Yeah. And I find, like, especially with, and I know it's going to sound really weird, but because I kind of make like liquid soaps in my range as well, and obviously people put liquid soaps in their bathroom, so when visitors come over and they need to use the bathroom and then they wash their hands, I find like products like that, even guest soaps, like bar soaps that are guest, that if you offer those, they are really excellent marketing, because if they love the way it feels, people are like, oh, where'd you get that liquid soap from? Oh, where'd you get that guest soap from? It's just amazing. So that's the benefit of offering guest soaps and liquid soaps as well. Even if you don't do liquid soaps, like guest soaps and sample sizes and stuff, because they'll usually more often than not put them as something for guests to use. And then they'll ask as well, like, oh, that was so nice. Where'd you get that from? And it's just all these things really, I just find them more effective than social media. Like, they really are.
This is true. This is true because, like I said, the lady, I didn't know nothing about handmade soap till I grabbed her little piece of soap.
Yeah.
And I just stood, because it was about this big, and I stood at the sink and I just kept rubbing it because it just felt like silk. It just felt so delicious in my hands, I wasn't used to it. And it's a program called Influencer here. I don't know if you know about that, where these big companies, they send you stuff and they just want you to try it out and let them know what you think.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. Right. Yeah.
So they sent me a bar of commercial soap, and I was like, ooh, it just didn't feel nice because I'm used to using handmade soap. And I just mind because I don't know if you know, I used to do on my YouTube channel, March Month of Giving. And my birthday is in March. So every March, instead of people giving me things, I wanted all makers, whether it was soap maker or otherwise, if you had a small craft that you can ship, inexpensively, share with each other. And even if you live in Australia or England, we had other people that was from Australia trade with each other, so you can get to see how amazing everybody's products are. And now you got new customers and, word of mouth. So just having that little piece. That little piece can
Yeah.
open big doors for you, you know?
It's such a beautiful idea. I don't think I've come across that video that you mentioned. What was it? March what? What is it?
March month of giving.
March month of giving. That is such a
Yeah. Of
beautiful
course, I
idea.
would tell people, don't
Yeah,
give me anything, but they send me everything. So I use a lot of other people's
yeah,
soaps because
yeah,
they would send it to me. And
yeah.
one year, I just thought I was felt very blessed because I said, hey, so we're going to do March month of giving, but can I ask no one to send me soaps? Because I have enough soaps to last me 2 lifetimes. Now, if you make me a or something like that, send me that, you know?
Yeah, 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 fair enough.
Yeah, I do. All I use is handmade soap, whether it be mine or someone else's. And it's
Yeah,
just fantastic. Even to this day, I've had that. And that's another piece of advice, just because you're a beginner, don't think that, oh, it's not that good. Don't doubt yourself,
mm,
honey, because I had one young lady send me, she said, this is my very first soap.
mhm.
And I'm going to be honest. I was like, well, I'm not going to wash my body with it. I'm just going to wash my hands. We don't know what it's like.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Her soap was fucking fantastic. Her soap was amazing.
Yeah,
And I told her, I said, honey, you got something golden on your hands.
yeah,
Keep
yeah,
doing what you're doing.
yeah,
So, yeah, just giving to each other and people spreading the word because I'm all about promoting other businesses. Why
yeah,
not?
yeah.
It just,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
it's a nice thing to do.
yeah. And that was another reason too, like for the Soap Makers Lounge too, was just for people to know who you are. Like people that otherwise would not know now all of a sudden know. And like I've done exchanges with like other soap makers in Australia, and I've done posts, and they've sent me gifts, and I've sent them gifts, and it's truly from a genuine place. It's not
It's,
from a competitive place. It's not like that whatsoever. And I just feel like it's just we need more of that in the soap making community.
we
Yeah,
do. We
yeah,
do. I'm always, even when I first started my YouTube channel, and I would have other soap makers, and they started channels, I would say, tell me your channel so I can shout you out. I would shout out people.
hmm
It's all because it's enough of us. It's so many bodies in this world.
that's exactly right.
Everybody's body needs to be washed. So
That's
I
that's
hope you're
right.
washing it. But so like in other countries, if say you, for instance, I can say, hey guys, if you're looking for an excellent soap maker over in Australia in this area, go see George over at Dawn Organics because they don't want to spend all that shipping on me to get my soap. So I'm going to recommend you. Matter of fact, I can give you a perfect example. Tiggy from Future
Oh yes,
Primitive. I love
yes,
Tiggy. I've loved
yes.
Tiggy forever.
She's
So,
hilarious.
one of my subscribers, I have subscribers who have turned into family members for me,
Hmm.
and I love them. They are really and truly and genuinely like my family members. So, ever since that Brexit tax thing came
Yeah,
about, it's
yeah,
super expensive to ship overseas over to the
yeah.
UK and places now. So I wanted to give my friend, I don't want to call her my subscriber because she's my friend.
Yeah.
I wanted to give my friend, because she loves handmade soap, I wanted to give her soap.
Mhm.
So I knew I couldn't ship it to her. It would cost too much. So I ordered from Tiggy and had Tiggy send it to her because they lived around in the same city. And
Wow.
she just like, oh, I love her soap. But now you got us another soap place to go and buy your
Yeah.
soap. I'm
Oh,
not about promoting, So why
yeah.
not?
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. That's excellent. Yeah, unfortunately, especially like in Australia, um, I'm unable to ship overseas because it's, as you know, incredibly expensive. Since the GFC hit, they put heaps of tariffs on shipping outside of your country. Yeah, whether
Yep,
it's the States or Australia's the same.
yep.
Europe, like to send, I think just 4 bars worth to USA is like $40.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It had always been around $32, between 32 and 35 US dollars. But since that Brexit tax or whatever it's
yeah.
called, it's like $70. I'm just like,
Oh my
oh no.
gosh.
The last package I sent to my friend, I
Yeah,
had intentions on sending her anyway, and I told her about it, and then that
yeah,
came about.
yeah.
And when I shipped it, I think it was like 72 or 75 US dollars to ship like 3, 4 bars of soap to her. And
Wow,
that was tough.
wow, wow. That's a lot. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fair at the same time. Yeah,
it's not.
it's not fair.
Yeah.
No.
I said, oh, well, and that's why I did the March month of giving too for people who wanted to buy handmade soap. You shouldn't not be able to buy handmade soap because it's in another, like from me, and
Mm.
you can't afford to get it from me. Well, I'm going to tell you a beautiful person that's in your country that you can
Mhm.
buy it from that
Mhm.
I know have really good products, or
Oh,
I
that's
think they're
beautiful.
fantastic. Yeah.
That's really fantastic. Yeah, that's really. Oh, I would love to have a chat with Tiggy. She's so funny.
I
Oh,
love Peggy cracks me up. I swear she does.
I still remember this one time I was watching a live of hers, and she had a troll come up and like
I know
comment
what
when
you're
she's.
talking about.
Oh,
They put her in timeout.
yes, yeah. Oh, was that the packaging one? How do you do soap packaging? How do you do?
Thought that was amazing. She was like, "Okay, we're gonna take you out of timeout." Oh, you haven't learned. You're going back in timeout. Sitting at work when I was watching that, I said, "Oh my gosh, this is hilarious."
Oh my god! So I was actually because the time that was she was doing a live, it was late for me, so I was
Oh,
getting ready to go to sleep, and then when that started happening, I was like full awake, and I
it's
was
hilarious.
laughing. Oh my gosh, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, oh my god, this woman has no filter, but in a good way. It's so
She is.
entertaining. Like,
That's what makes her so funny because she's genuine and she's just hilarious. She's always been that way. I just adore myself some Tiggy. One day she said that she said my dog really loves Ice Cube, the rapper.
okay, right.
I can put on any other music and she doesn't like it, but when I put on Ice Cube, it makes her very happy. I said, "Oh
Okay.
my gosh, I love her." And she makes amazing soap too, because for one of my birthdays, I bought a bunch of soap from her for myself.
Mhm.
Ah, she makes lovely soap. She really
Wow,
does.
excellent. Yeah, excellent. Very good. Well, fingers crossed. Maybe I'll have a chat with her in the future.
I hope it was, I'm gonna watch for sure because she is hilarious. Anybody who's watching this, check her out because
Yeah,
she's a very
definitely.
funny woman and she's an excellent
Absolutely.
soap maker.
Yeah, she is really funny. I often watch her stuff. Oh, because there's so many soap makers. Of course, like I've come to know, it's really hard to keep up with everyone.
It is.
But when I do have a spare minute, I generally hand pick. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen a video from Tiggy or Royalty Soaps, or and then I quickly catch up where I can.
Yeah, yeah. My
But
my
definitely,
go-to are Tiggy and Holly from Missouri River.
yeah.
I adore Holly. Holly is just the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think the last time I watched a couple of her videos was a couple of weeks ago, actually. Yeah. Really nice watching her stuff. And Soaping 101 is a really, really good one for beginners. Yeah.
Learned so much when
Yeah.
I was starting out. I learned so much that she is a wealth of information. And
Yeah.
I know at that time I'm still in her Facebook group. I don't, like I said, I don't really do groups now because people are kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for a minute she closed her group and it was kind of hard to get in. But if you can get in her group, please do because it's a wealth of information for any beginner. Matter of fact, it's a wealth of information for anyone, no matter what stage you're at.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's just, I guess, a platform, even if you've been making soap for a really long time, to kind of just give some advice while others kind of
Absolutely. Yeah.
improve their recipe and their soap making as well.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very good. So what out of all the soaps you make or have made, what's your favorite kind of bar that you just continually make because you love it so much, and of course customers love it?
When, like I said, my recipe has pretty much been the same, give
Hmm.
or take. I would add some things, take some things away, and really, had to do with hardness for me because I just love a rock hard bar of soap. But like,
Yeah.
bust the window with my soap, I'm happy. It's just like a hard soap. It just lasts longer. So I've been adding and taking away those things to see what works. But I decided to make my own rice milk and
Okay.
put it in my soap. And
Yeah.
that is my most favorite soap. I adore that soap. Out of all of my soap children, she's my favorite. Don't tell the others. But
Yeah.
it's just something about it. And she's an essential oil soap. She's lemon lavender with rice milk. And it's just the most luxurious bubbles. And it's just a delicious soap. And I don't mean delicious like I ate it, but it's just a delicious soap.
Well, talking about delicious soap, I have a liquid soap recipe. It uses 20% organic unrefined cocoa butter, so it's a very strong chocolate smell. And
Yes.
I scented it with orange essential oil, and
Yum.
it smells exactly like Jaffa's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so curious one day I wanted to taste it, so I was, I put a drop on my finger and I went, and because
Terrible.
I put glycerin in it, so what it did to after taste terrible, but the initial taste was sweet. You could
Uh-huh.
definitely taste the chocolate, and you could taste the orange, and then that was for about a second, all right, and then after that it turned so soapy, and I could not get the soapy
No.
taste out of my mouth for like a few
Oh
hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I think every soap maker has tasted their soap. It's not just you.
Yeah, I just had to. It was like so chocolatey. It's like, oh, come on, it has to taste good. Like,
Yeah, you do. And then I get because I make like some of the dessert looking soaps, and
yeah,
you do fairs. Like I said, people got opinions, and they want you to know what their opinion is. And
yeah.
I've had people come, and they're just like, "Oh, I would never buy this. This is so dangerous for children. They may eat it." I said, "I tell you what, if they take one bite, I can promise you they'll never touch it again.
That's exactly right. Yes,
They're not going
very
to eat
true.
for this. Come
Yeah,
on,
that's true.
it
Well,
doesn't taste good at
that
all."
that saying that they say, oh, I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap. Well, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very tasty, not at all.
All right. So, disclaimer, everybody: don't taste your soap and don't throw your soap out the window.
Don't, 'cause that's not a good way to test things. It's just not.
Oh, and of course, don't throw your soap at others.
No, you may want to, and it can be a very good thing. But just don't take advice from me. Don't do it.
Oh gosh. So, out of all the oils that we have, like all the oils and butters and all these things we have in soap making, what is your most favorite oil that you like to work with?
The one that I love truly and dearly is avocado. It's just, but I don't use it as often because it's a very expensive oil.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
But
yeah,
a close second would be sunflower because sunflower is like chicken.
yeah,
You can do so many things with chicken.
yes.
Chicken is so versatile, and
That's right.
sunflower oil is too. I mean, sunflower makes a beautiful
Really
bar
does.
of
Yeah.
soap. It's not very expensive here, and it's just, I mean, it's endless possibilities what you could do
Yeah,
with sunflower
yeah.
oil. And then as far as butters, cocoa butter. I just
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
say, cocoa butter. Oh, I love cocoa butter.
Especially,
Very too, but I
especially,
like it.
especially when it's unrefined, the chocolatey. Oh, yeah.
Okay, back to eating things. So, Gabriel, my partner, every time we're master batching, I look at, did you eat my cocoa butter? He's always eating my cocoa butter. I said, stop eating my cocoa butter.
No.
It just tastes so good. I said, I know, but it's expensive. Stop eating my
Yeah,
cocoa butter.
it really is expensive.
Hmm.
Do you use organic cocoa butter as well?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's the price tag. Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
that.
sometimes I just want to weep every time I put it in my car because honestly, sometimes, especially when you buy in bulk,
Hmm.
you do get a better price point, but the shipping sometimes costs more than a darn product. I'm just like,
Yeah,
but you buy it because like the luxuriousness it lends to your bar, so
that's
you
right.
buy it. But it's been quite a few times I was just like, oh, maybe I should change my recipe.
Yeah, yeah,
Just the
yeah,
shipping was ridiculous.
yeah. I know. I can. Well, do you have? I don't know. In terms of your husband, if he eats too much, if you have mobile FPOS, get him to swipe his card, to tap his card.
I wish. Yeah, that guy, you have to watch him. He will eat your products for sure. Like, yeah, he's pretty bad with that.
Right. Well, I can't say I blame him. Cocoa butter, like,
I mean, it is very good.
yeah,
Hmm.
it is really good, especially in lip balms as well. Oh man.
Oh, I know. It's a very just luxurious lip balm. And I mean, you have to watch it because you keep licking your lips, and it's like counterproductive.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. That's true. Very true. Especially if you put a little bit of peppermint oil, essential oil in it. Oh,
mm,
man.
nice. It is very nice. Somebody actually sent me a lip balm, and it has peppermint oil. It's just so nice. It's a very, very nice peppermint. I mean, lip balm.
Yeah. Have you actually, now we're talking about cocoa butter and chocolate, have you ever had actual chocolate made with the real cocoa butter and peppermint essential oil? Have you ever tried that?
Mm-mm. That sounds
What?
like something I want.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm not really a big fan of mint chocolate,
Yes,
but
me either.
chocolate with peppermint oil is
Ah,
very delicious. And when you eat it, it warms your throat as it's going down. Like
yeah,
the menthol in it, because peppermint has menthol
yeah.
in it, and it just all the way when it goes to your stomach goes warm, and you just feel the
Gotta work it
peppermint
a little
oil.
bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have to
Mm.
try it. You really have to try one. Yeah.
I want to because I've tried like ice cream. I had a lavender essential oil ice cream this past
Oh,
summer. It was
wow.
amazing. Oh, it's man, you will be as big as a house. It's so good, you
Wow.
know. I bought it's a local honey farm around here, and she uses lemon essential oil in her honey. It
Ooh.
is so delicious.
Oh my
Oh, who would
gosh.
think, but it is so delicious. So
Oh,
I get you. Essential oils in food items, I'm for it.
wow. Well, that's delicious. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, because I've I've been a bit scared to use essential oils in my lip balms because
Yeah,
I'm just not sure how much to add. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I haven't.
See, I always tell people like essential oils because I do both. I do um, man-made fragrance oils and
Yeah,
I do essential oils as
yeah,
well. And like when you go into the essential oil side, I think it's a lot more research than fragrance oils
yeah,
because fragrance oils guidelines are kind of set out for you.
yeah.
And essential oils are as well, but it's just you can go overboard. This teeniest little bit
Yeah,
can be way too much,
that's right.
So I'm the same way. You get a little nervous when you're putting things that you put on your mouth. You're just like,
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure,
yeah,
how
yeah,
much I should be doing. So I
yeah,
feel you on that.
yeah. So maybe one day in the future, but so far, yeah, no. Like I don't know.
I'll leave it to the people who know how.
Well, that's it. That's why I buy the chocolate with peppermint essential oil in it because I don't want
Yeah,
to.
that sounds
Even though I've
delicious.
got the cocoa butter, I don't want to do it myself. I'd
No.
rather just buy it. Yeah. Gosh. So what are your favorites? So we've got the oils and the butters down what you love. So what about like additives like micas or certain clays or just certain additives you just love?
Okay, so if I could say fragrance oils,
Hmm.
that's my weakness. Um, I love a fragrance oil. There's something about a fragrance oil. And I know there's been conversations like because I make both,
Hmm.
I don't feel one way stronger than the other because I
Yeah.
think they're both great.
Yeah.
Just like essential oils can be very dangerous if you
Mhm.
don't know how to use them, and all
That's right.
essential oils are not meant to be used, on humans.
Yes.
Um, Say with fragrance oils, you can get some fragrance oils for some funky,
Hmm.
companies that they're not good. So if you
Yeah.
buy them from a reputable source,
Yeah.
you can get some very, very good fragrance oils. And if you use them with the usage rate that you're supposed to have,
Mhm.
it's just something so lovely. I
Yeah.
remember when I first started, I always thought was more instead of less is more.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they had a usage rate, I made sure I met the highest usage rate because I thought in my mind, use more fragrance oil, you get better scent, and it's not true.
Hmm. Yeah. That's right.
So I've even gone down to putting 1 ounce of fragrance oil and 4 pounds of oil, and it still smells just as nice because you have to know how to anchor it and
That's right.
boost it to make it, really smell
Yeah.
aromatic. And fragrances can boost memories. They can make you happy.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
can make you calm, just like essential oils. lavender has a calming effect, and there's just some really pretty, to me, like powdery fragrance oils.
Yeah.
They're just very calming to me and just
Yeah.
very relaxing and just put me in a good headspace. So fragrances, whether it be essential or fragrance oils,
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
And there are some plain bars of soaps that you put certain like cocoa butter percent. You know, if you put no other fragrance, just cocoa butter. I think it's just a scent thing for me. I like scent. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess if I had to pick anything else, it would be probably a colorant, whether it be clay or mica. Just I'm a colorful person, so I like colors.
Well, you can definitely see that in your products. They're very colorful and they just pop. They really pop when you look at them, and it's like, oh, wow, just that color combo really,
Yeah,
really pops
thank you,
out at
thank
you. Yeah, and I've had a look at your website. Really beautiful stuff. Really stuff. I love the Lucky You handmade soap. Oh, that is gorgeous.
Thank you
Gorgeous.
so much.
And I'll put pictures at the end as well, so people can see with links as well. Oh yeah, that's and the pumpkin. Oh wow, the pumpkin handmade soap. That is gorgeous.
Those are my little babies. I just love them so much.
It's so nice, so nice. And the apple and oak. I think they're my three favorite. The apple and oak, beautiful. They're so nice. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so like I'll probably would buy some from you if you want to ship to Australia. I'll pay obviously the shipping cost. That's fine.
No, you know what? We're gonna figure something out because I would love for you to have some of my soaps. I really would.
Absolutely, I love to use the apple and oak and the Lucky You handmade for sure, 100%.
They're delicious smelling soaps too. They're just very. Like, it's just me. I love an apple. I love an apple fragrance.
Yeah.
And people are just not into it, but I'm just like, just give it a chance. You know, it's something about it. So apple and oak it's a lovely combination. It really is.
Yeah, well, that does sound really delicious. I promise I won't bite it.
You can, but I bet you won't do it again.
Yeah, well, I already did it once, so I'd be pretty stupid if I did it again, didn't I? Oh gosh. So going back before, because you mentioned like word of mouth. I know, like we kind of the progression of the convo led us to other places. But I wanted to point out that I said word of mouth is more effective than social media. I want to clarify that in terms of, and I'm sure you'll agree with me from your experience, because you've been kind of making soap for a while and using social media. It's good to let people know who you are, social media, but it doesn't necessarily show people how good your products are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. And you're so right, because there is a difference online versus in person.
Yes.
I know, like, there are certain soaps online that I cannot pay people to buy.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's just not, because I can only explain to you what I think it smells like, or the notes that the company that I bought the fragrance, I can tell you this is what it smells like, but maybe you can't get a good grasp. But when I take that exact same soap that was a very slow seller to a fair, it's first one to go.
Yes, yeah.
Because you get to hold it and you get to smell it and you get to see the colors in it.
Exactly.
So, this is so true. Very, very true.
Yeah. So I think social media complements your brand and your personality, but it has to complement it. You can't have one without the other, if that makes sense. Yeah,
this is true. I find it very difficult. If before I started doing fairs and festivals and things like that, it was just letting people, because when you're on YouTube as well, and even a lot of times when you're on social media, especially like Instagram and things like that, a lot of your followers are other soap makers. They're not actually customers.
Right.
I mean, you do have some soap makers that buy from you, but most of them are following you because you're in the same community, So when you actually go out to the community of people who don't know anything about soap making, they just know they like handmade soap. So it goes hand in hand. One helps the other, but in person, it's better.
Right. Exactly, exactly. Very true. And you mentioned before that you have cats and the dog.
I do. Let me know if I can find the dog. Like I said, he doesn't love me. He loves dad. So
Okay,
he's not going to come up
right.
here. Let me see
Okay.
the cat.
No worries, no worries.
I will leave it. Oddly enough, like they're always hanging out at the door trying to break in, but now when I want one of them to come, there's no one in sight.
Oh
So
well, okay. Oh
I think
well, if you like,
downstairs.
just provide some pictures and I'll show them at the end of the video.
I can do that because I do have lots of pictures of
Okay,
them.
good, excellent.
Of course, it would be that way.
Right, yes, I'm sure. Yes, they just got their mind of their own. Like,
They do. They do. Like I said, any other time, like you would see arms and elbows all under the door, reaching, trying to get in.
yeah. Oh gosh.
No,
Well,
I just think that, what you're doing is amazing. I really do. Because like I said, you didn't come across anything like this. And it does give people a chance to get to know the maker. A lot of the times on platforms like Instagram, you see pictures, that's it.
that's right. Exactly.
You see a
Yeah.
video, that's it. On YouTube, all you see are these. You
Yeah.
don't see my face.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you do videos though, like where you talk and you
yeah,
sit
I
down.
just
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
started getting,
Yeah.
because like I was saying, like I'm a social butterfly behind camera, and it was so freaky to see myself on camera at first. I was like, oh, this is weird, man,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting used to being in front of the camera
Yeah.
now. But at first it was very uncomfortable for
Yeah.
me, but um this just like back then, when I first started, you really did just see people's hands. There wasn't too many people showing their faces and on camera and talking to you and things like that. And
Yeah.
it just gives you, I think, once you get to know the maker, you appreciate their talent a little bit
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
because you see where it comes from. You see that it comes from the heart and
Yeah.
how dedicated they are and how much they love what they do. And it just makes it that much more special, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
to do this,
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I
Yeah.
think definitely keep it up. You really, really
Thank
should
you.
keep it up. This is
Yeah.
very cool, and it's nice. It's really
Yeah.
nice to sit
Yeah.
down and have a chat with another soap maker because you talk to your family, they're just like, oh, geez, here she goes about soap
Yeah,
again.
oh, yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That's so true.
Yeah,
It's so
so you
nice
talk
to be
to
able
the
to,
soap
yeah,
makers, they get
yeah,
you.
that's right, exactly. It's nice to chat with other people that have the same interests as you, especially for soap making, because it's, like I say, the soap bug, it's so infectious.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
it's very fantastic.
Hmm.
Well, I'd like to thank you so very much for agreeing to be a part of the Soap Makers Lounge, the first one in 2022. So thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. It's all my pleasure. This is fantastic.
Thank you. And well, now that you are on my Skype, because I use Skype to record this conversation, you can obviously reach out anytime and say hello. Or,
Cool.
that's right.
Yes,
So,
you're family now.
oh, yes, Soap family, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have to say this is very refreshing because there are not a lot of male soap makers
Mhm.
in the community. So it's just something so special about you all. It is, because
Oh, thanks.
everybody loves Clyde Yoshida. How could you not love Clyde?
Who's
Do you not
that?
know him?
Oh,
Vibrant soaps. Oh,
I'm going
you
to
got to
write this
check it
down
out.
so I don't forget. What is it?
You
Vibrant
got
Soaps, is it?
Yeah, his name is
Yeah.
Clyde Yoshida, and his company is called Vibrant Soaps. He's been around for a very long time.
Oh, wow. Okay, client. Okay. Is he
He,
located in the States?
yeah, he's in California.
Okay, California, right.
Hmm. He has the most beautiful spirit you'll ever come across. He really
Right.
does. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person, and he is such a lovely person. You remind me of him because you guys
Okay.
have just this genuinely sweet personality, and
All right.
when you talk to you and him, you just feel instantly calm.
Oh,
So
thank you. Thanks.
yeah, you really remind me of him a lot. And like I said, it's so nice to have male soap makers in the community because it's not a lot. You got a plethora of
Yeah.
us, but so it really, really is nice.
Yeah. It would be nice to actually have a chat with another soap, like a male soap maker. I have,
Because he's a beautiful person. He
yeah,
really is a beautiful person, and like I said, he's one of the OGs. He's one of the soap makers that I learned from
okay.
before I even started. Yeah, so
Interesting.
he's great.
Well, I definitely will reach out to him for sure, 100%. And I did reach out to Clover Soapworks as well.
Oh
I,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
What is his name?
I forgot. I should know. I forgot.
But I can't think of it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
know
can
who you're
think of
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, Clover. So, and I think we were supposed to do one this year, but I think he had to go away.
Okay.
And there was we didn't actually anchor in a time, but hopefully in February sometime. I'll
Yeah,
be able
he
to
makes fabulous
chat
soaps.
with
He
him.
really does. He makes
Yeah,
gorgeous
yeah,
soaps.
he does. Really, really nice, colourful soaps. So there we
Yep.
go. A new one to look out. So that's great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, he's a beautiful person. I think you would enjoy talking to him because he's so sweet. Do follow him on Instagram. He's
I
on
will.
Instagram too.
Most
Mhm.
definitely, I will most definitely follow him. Well, thank you so much once again
Thank
for,
you.
and it was such a pleasure. Like, for everybody, please head on over to Royal Appleberry's Instagram and YouTube. Absolutely love her YouTube video, especially when she sits down and talks. She's really, well, as you can see from his video, very fun, very bubbly, very, very beautiful personality, infectious laugh
Thank
and
you.
personality. And
Yeah.
I'll also provide links in the description to her YouTube and, of course, her social media. And check out there also for her website. And I'll include a discount code there as well for customers in the US to receive a percentage off their order. So thank you very much once
Thank
again
you.
for providing that discount as well.
Oh,
So
no problem.
very generous of you. And I'm sure we will chat soon
Yes.
and keep in touch.
Alrighty.
Thanks
You
so
have a good
much.
time. Bye bye.